Okay, shalom.
Shalom.
So this is actually a very solemn service. This is the Yizkor. Some people do it on Yom Shabbat, tomorrow. But many people like to light a candle as part of it. It's a memorial service for people who passed on. And so people like to do a candle, and some people, by tradition, won't light candles or light fires on Yom Kippur. So that's why we want to do it now, right before the sun goes down, as we go into Yom Kippur. So, so let's go ahead. Let's honor those we've lost and remember them as we light the Yizkor candles, Kathy, and allow people to reminisce. And share stories after we do the Kaddish. On page 32 through 35.
Give this one to Mike.
Yitkadash, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Amadi Vorechute, V'yamich Malchute, V'chayecho, V'yomecho, V'chaye Dechol Bet Yisrael, Agala, Agala, V'yishman Kari, V'yimu Amen. Yehishme Rabba La'alam U'alme Amaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitala Shemed Kudsha V'yichu Le'ela Ul'arbe Min Kul Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata V'nachamata Ta'amira V'alma V'yimu Amen. Yeheshme Shuv Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya Yechayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimu Amen. Oseh Shalom B'momah Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimu Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom B'momah. Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael. V'yimu Amen. In English, and you join me if you like. Magnified and hallowed be the great name of God throughout the world, which he created according to his will. May he establish his kingdom during your lifetime and during the life of all the house of Israel, speedily, yes, soon, and say Amen. May his great name be blessed forever and ever. Blessed, praised, and glorified, exalted, extolled, and honored, magnified, and lauded be the name of the Holy One. Blessed be he whose glory transcends, yes, is beyond all blessings, hymns, praises, and consolations which are uttered in the world. And say, Amen. Baruch Hashem. So, this isn't really, it's called a mourner's Kaddish, but it's not really, some might call it a prayer for the dead, but it's not really for the dead. It's for us, the people who are living. It's about asking God to come during your lifetime. You see? And to come soon. People pass on and grow tired of pain in our lives, you know? And we just want him to come and make things right. What? Just to do Kaddish? To do Yizkor? Yeah.
I like it. Thank you for teaching this.
Okay. If anyone wants to take time and share any memories from people who've passed on, or pets who passed on, this is your time. Could you grab if you want to share it publicly, grab the mic. If you don't want it to be very loud. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that there's a mute button here. Oh, hang on one second. Okay.
Okay, so some people that have passed on in my life, the first three people that are, actually 4 people that is coming to my mind. I want to say first, a previous dog. Her name is Coco. She's a boxer. She was awesome. I mean, gosh, every moment with that dog was a fond memory, especially when you come home from a long day. You know, she does her funny little crab dance and stuff like that. Every time you'd play any type of instrument, she would howl and sing with you, so I really miss that. My grandparents passed away before I moved back here in Okinawa. I was really disappointed that I could not go to their funeral. My grandma was the kind of person that she didn't have to say anything for you to know that she loved you. Like, she can say I love you just with her facial expressions. And my grandpa was also fun to hang out with. I remember he used to go and dig in trash cans for like, I forget what it was, something, I don't know if it was like cans or like to pick the caps off them or something like that. He used to do that, and he would get on home for it. But I really miss hanging out with both my grandparents, and also my grandma's husband, my grandma Lena, my Mima, her husband passed away to cancer quite some time ago. I remember the last thing he said to me was, because he had cancer, and he was in his in one of the rooms that he was being taken care of in the house, and for some odd reason, I was a little kid, so I put on my like Spider-Man outfit, and then like I jumped in the room and did my little Spider-Man pose, and he's like, "Oh, that's my Spider Zachary," and that was literally the last thing I think he said to me before he moved on. So it was definitely something positive. But those are the 4 people that come to my mind right now.
Okay. Anyone else? Feel free.
Do I understand?
Whatever you want.
There's 2 people who come to my mind. Lieutenant Friesen and my father. And I will start with Lieutenant Friesen. It's been a long time since I thought about Lieutenant Friesen. I was a young PFC in the Army, and I was around, I won't say 21. It was my first deployment. Yeah, it was my first deployment to Afghanistan. And I was actually a very disgruntled young soldier in the Army. To an extent, I will honestly admit that I've always had an authority issue, and that it's because I've been under people who never really used their authority properly. So if I ever have said anything out the way to anyone here, I apologize. But one of the reasons why I still remember Lieutenant Friesen to this day is that I remember my first deployment, and I had said something to someone who outranked me, and they gave me a warning, a very harsh warning, I might add. And when you in the military, we have a very strict rank system, and there are, now I am going to flat out admit it, there are something called an unlawful order. And I've seen people receive them, and I've seen people who don't have the sense to know what is an unlawful order versus what is lawful. And to make a long story short, you will receive consequences for that. But I didn't have that problem. I knew what was lawful and unlawful. My problem is that I would tell an authority figure a piece of my mind when I got ready to. And one of the things that Lieutenant Friesen had said, he pulled me to the side, and we was on Bagram, the Army/Air Force base in Afghanistan. It's like the main hub. And we went for a ride and a walk around Bagram. We said, talk to me. He approached me not only as an authority figure, but he dealt with me as if I was a person and not just another number. And unfortunately, that deployment, Lieutenant Friesen died. He died on that first deployment. I want to say about 5 months into it, he died. And to this day, even around Veterans Day, I still think about Lieutenant Friesen because he was one of the very first authority figures I saw as a young man. And I will even admit it, he was an African American as well, very successful, I might add, who didn't misuse his authority. He did not misuse his authority. I remember whenever I think about Lieutenant Friesen, I actually think of the passages. Christ says, you must first learn to be a follower before you can be a leader. That actually comes out of his mouth. And from how I interacted with him, it taught me that you really can have leaders who are concerned about the well-being of their subordinates and want their subordinates to do well. Now, unfortunately, I was not permanently assigned to him. We were just transitioning, but it really caused my eyes to be open. And I remember he admitted to me bluntly, you will have toxic leaders. You will have toxic authority figures, and you need to become wise in dealing with it. Starting with James, you got to learn how to pick your battles. And he told me flat out. And so I still remember Lieutenant Friesen to this day. The next person, my dad. In fact, if he was alive, you would say I look just like him. And to a degree, we would both make the argument that we probably just alike. My dad had me when he was around 52, 53. And my mom, she was like 26 or 28. And growing up, me and my dad, we never really saw eye to eye on a lot of things. I mean, my dad was a pacifist. I mean, literally a pacifist. I'm not, by no means. But one of the reasons why I miss my dad is because he really was a good person. He was a very forgiving person. There's a passage in the New Testament where Paul says you have people who are pagans and yet they live out Torah and don't realize it. Unconsciously, when I look back, I realize to an extent that could fit my dad because he was very forgiving. He worked hard. Every woman he was with, He bought them a house. For example, my mom owns a house that today we can't live in, but when my father was alive, he bought her a house and he put our name on the deed. He did not care for material possessions. And to a degree, I wish I was more like him to this day. I can't do that if I ever get married. He loved like that. One of the things though that why I do see a glimpse of the Torah in my father, is that he adopted my brother. Now, I'm just gonna put it bluntly. My brother from my mom was from another man. And at this time, she had got pregnant by another man when I was around 2 years old. And to this day, DeMarco Jones, if he was here with me, because he's still alive, my brother recently got out of jail, he will tell you the only father he knows is my father. And I will say to you, my brother is my father's son. And as crazy as it sounds, that is because, and don't get me wrong, I have a wonderful aunt uncle that took me and my sister in. But I am not equal, and I'm just being blunt. I am not equal to their sons. Not saying that I was mistreated, but I'm just being honest. They love me like a son. They really do. But my dad had made it crystal clear to me, my siblings, from his previous marriages. I should say from his previous marriage, and to whoever else who questioned it, you will address DeMarco Jones as my son. Period. There was no compromise with it. When my father died, he was on my father's will next to my name. And so I'm gonna say it one more time. My father made it very crystal clear to whoever that DeMarco Jones was his son, and there was nothing less about it. I remember he would even kick people out of his house out of disrespect. And I used to be very jealous of my brother. I remember I would go to my mom's house and literally walk, regardless if it was snow outside, rain. And I would walk and I would go and tell my mom, Dad does not like me. Now, today, to put it bluntly, I love my mom, but she's very difficult to deal with. Just being honest, I love my mom. But she's difficult to deal with. But she put it to me bluntly. She said, James, that is foolishness. You are his son. He loves you. He likes you. Y'all probably don't get along because you two are just alike. At the time, I didn't see the resemblance, but my dad was very stubborn on what he believed in. So am I. But I've always wanted to love like that. I've always wanted to love to a point where you see it's like almost a person would say that my dad didn't love himself, and I would say he did, but I've discovered most people, they can't love like that. And to me, when I think about my dad, and I look at how he loved my brother, I begin to think of the love of God that the Father has shown through his Messiah. And so it's my prayer that one day I'll love like that, because I've thought about and even prayed about one day the Father bless me with a decent financial career where I can adopt children. Regardless if I get married or not, I actually do one day want to adopt. And so during this time, I'm grateful. Like I said, this is the first time of being exposed to this tradition on Yom Kippur. Think about family members who passed. And John, you said something very, very, very significant. There are times when life people just get tired. There have been many days, and I know I have tried and wondered, Father, how am I going to pay for this? Where am I going to be in the next 5-10 years from now? Because the past 3 years since I've been out of the military, I'm just being honest. Trying to find a job to survive has not been easy. A lot of people don't like to hire veterans. I know what it's like to see your W-2 at $30,000, and then one day you're looking at a W-2 and it's $5,500 for the year. And for the past 3 years, it's been that way. It really has been that way. And I just want to say, no, thank you. Thank you to everyone that's here. Y'all been emotionally, y'all been supportive. Zach, despite our arguments at times, you have been very supportive.
2 years in a row.
And I want to say I'm very grateful, very grateful. Also, actually now I'm kind of lost words. Forgive me. Normally I'm good at talking.
It's okay.
Anyone next?
If I can make it through this, just about a year ago, my brother-in-law passed. And I don't know where he is now. And that's the hardest part. A really funny story, just thinking about, things that he's done, and he and my sister have traveled a lot of different places. Preface it, my other sister, her husband likes to hunt, and he would go out every year, bow season, shotgun season, trying to get a deer, and he never got one. And every year, my sister would hit one with her car and cause thousands of dollars worth of damage. Well, my sister and brother-in-law, the one who passed, took my mom out to dinner one night to get groceries or whatever, and they were coming home, and Marie said it was a really chilly evening, and my mom and my sister were talking, and all of a sudden Tom rolls down his window, and they're like, looking at him like, what are you doing? It's cold out. It's cold in the car now. And he sticks his head out while he's driving and says, you better look out, Lisa's up ahead. And they're like, what? There were a couple deer off the side of the road standing there. As soon as he said that, they took off. Come to find out, right up the road, my sister was out walking with a friend. They cracked up laughing. He was a great guy, but I don't know if I'm going to see him again. That hurts. But also, my mom, my dad, my brother, all of my aunts and uncles, a couple of cousins, all my grandparents. Too many to name right now. They're all missed. Friends that I grew up with. That's hard. And of course, a year and a half ago, little Max. And a couple other cats, Caesar and Simon.
It's okay. Zach, are you come here?
Yes.
You go behind the podium, do Psalm 23. I got the marker on the page already for you. So Zach's going to go ahead and chant Psalm 23. You can look it up in your Bible if you want, just reflect on it. Or you can just remember your loved ones who've passed on, and that's how we'll finish the Yizkor and move on to Kol Nidre. One thing before he does that. It's a tradition to give tzedakah. Do you remember what tzedakah is? Righteousness, but it's also it's taken on the meaning of charity. So that's one of the traditions in the name of whoever has passed on. That's one of the traditions to do that. You can do it on your own. If you want to write a check through KE, we can forward it to whoever you want. Just put it in the memo section. There you go. If you want recommendations, Needs First Ministry, or TPF, or Tents of Mercy. TPF, Tikkun Pastoral Foundation, help veterans in a lot of different ways. Tents of Mercy, they help immigrants coming into Israel to get them jobs and make sure they have something to eat and get them homes. And Magen David, of course, that's the equivalent of the Red Cross in Israel. So those would be my recommendations anyway. Okay, so Psalm 23.
Which page is the English on?
It's the page right before.
Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so please read the English too when you're done,
Yeah, I'll do
because,
the English, yeah.
okay.
Okay, so Psalm 23, let's go with the Hebrew first. מזמור לדוד, השם ראוינו יחסר, בניות דשא יעבצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובר, ינחני, במעלה צדק למען שמו, גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא כי אתה עמדי, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, נגד הצוררי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוס ירוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית השם, ושבתי בבית השם לאורך ימים. Okay, now we're going to do the English. It's on the previous page on 18. It's on the bottom of 18. So it's Mizmor David, Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. That's the wrong series, sorry. I only got it. Never mind. Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and grace will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
At this point, we're going to sign off the internet connection. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. So no fears. Watch for the connection to come back. Okay? That's the end of the Yizkor. We're going to start Kol Nidre.